Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user ForeignOstrich8937. Am I the a-hole for asking my husband to cancel his bro-only trip to help me with our newborn after he promised he would? This situation has caused a lot of tension between my husband and me, and now I'm questioning whether I'm being unreasonable. I, 30 female, gave birth to our first child, Olivia, 2 months ago. Being a first-time mom has been both beautiful and overwhelming. My husband, Jake, 32 male, was incredibly supportive during the pregnancy and promised that after Olivia was born, he would be there for me every step of the way, especially during those challenging first few months of her life. Before Olivia was born, Jake and his friends had been planning a bros-only trip for this summer. A week-long vacation to a cabin in the mountains for hiking, fishing, and bonding. When the trip was being discussed, I reminded Jake that Olivia would only be a few months old, and we would be deep in the newborn phase. He reassured me that if things got too tough, he would cancel the trip to help me out, and I trusted him. Now that Olivia is here, things have been harder than I anticipated. Between the sleepless nights, breastfeeding struggles, and just trying to adjust to motherhood, I've been feeling overwhelmed. Jake has been helpful, but I can tell he's excited about this trip, which is coming up next month. Last week, I asked Jake if he could consider canceling the trip, reminding him of his promise. I told him that I'm struggling and that having him gone for a whole week would be really tough on me. He seemed surprised and a bit hurt that I was asking him to cancel. He said he's been looking forward to this trip for months and that he needs a break too. He also pointed out that his parents live nearby and could help if I needed support while he was away. I understand that Jake needs a break and wants to spend time with his friends, but I can't help feeling like this is a time when I really need him by my side. I tried to explain that while I appreciate his parents' help, it's not the same as having him here. Jake said that I'm being unfair by asking him to cancel the trip after all the planning that went into it, and that I need to trust him to make sure I'm supported even if he's not physically here. Now we're at a bit of a standoff. Some of my friends think I should let him go, saying that it's important for him to have some time away, especially after all the stress of becoming a new dad. But others agree that it's too soon for him to take off for a week and that he should prioritize being home with me and Olivia. So am I the a-hole for asking my husband to cancel his bros-only trip to help me with our newborn after he promised he would? Well, in my opinion, no, you wouldn't be the a-hole because he offered to cancel the trip if you needed it. I understand that he's looking forward to it, but he knew when he was planning this that the baby would be about 2 months or 3 months old. Personally, if I would have been in his shoes, and I have been because I've got 3 kids, I would have never planned a trip with my friends, even though we live in very different countries right now, around the time I have a newborn. I understand some people might say, hey, but she's not alone, she's got his parents there. But to me, that's not the same. I wouldn't have left my wife with a 2-month-old baby because I also want that bonding experience. And I understand him wanting a break to relax or whatever, but she also is entitled to that one. And also, when you have a 2-month-old baby, it's just not the right time. So again, OP, no, I don't think you're the a-hole. I think you need to talk to your husband, and that's as far as it should go. Your friends commenting on it, whether it's in your favor or not, doesn't hold any weight in the argument. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Fancy and Fab says, you were uncomfortable for 9 months. You went through labor. You are now breastfeeding. What the F does he need a break from? He was a giant a-hole when he even planned this trip. He was a bigger a-hole when he lied about canceling. And he's the giant gaping, insanely awful a-hole now that he thinks it's unreasonable for you not to want him to be gone for an entire week when you're already overwhelmed. It doesn't seem like you'd want his parents to stay for a week while he's gone. This made me furious. I hope this is his only misstep, though I doubt it. Not the a-hole. Dryad Uinath says, not the a-hole. He agreed he would cancel it until he was actually held to his word. Planning a trip with his friends a few months after your due date was truly spectacularly poor judgment in the first place. He is a dad now. He's not your helper. He should be pulling his own weight, and he should know by now that this is a bad idea. No, his parents living nearby does not make up for it, and no, it is not reasonable for him to expect you to trust him to make sure you're supported even though he's not physically there. This is his baby. He should be physically there, not just supporting you, but taking care of his own child who I must assume you are still recovering from carrying and giving birth to. You are not being unfair. He is being a liar. What do we call people who say they'll do something and then pitch a fit when you expect them to actually do it? And By the Brook 88 says, I assume Jake will be looking after Olivia for a week once you've stopped breastfeeding and can go away for a break. Let Jake know that if he uses his parents as free childcare, it will result in a further week of breast being required. Jake seems oblivious to the struggles you are facing with your child and selfishly prioritizes his own needs over you and Olivia. OP's edit. Hey everyone, I just wanted to give a quick update after reading through most of the replies. I was honestly overwhelmed by the amount of support and understanding I received. Thank you so much to everyone who took the time to respond. Your kind words and thoughtful advice really helped me feel less alone in this situation. A lot of you suggested that I should also take a week off, letting Jake stay with Olivia to get a break for myself. I really appreciate the sentiment behind that suggestion, but there are a couple of reasons why it's not realistic for me right now. First of all, I'm breastfeeding, so being away from Olivia for that long would be really difficult logistically. But beyond that, and this is something I know I need to work on, I just don't feel comfortable being away from my baby yet. I know it's not healthy to feel like I can't have her out of my sight, but I can't help it. I guess it's just that new mom anxiety that's really hard to shake. I've been debating whether or not to show Jake this thread. I'm worrying that reading it might hurt his feelings, but I'm definitely going to have another conversation with him about everything. I'm willing to compromise and let him go on the trip, but I think a whole week is just too much. I'm leaning towards suggesting that he limit the trip to a maximum of 3 nights, so he can still have some time away with his friends, but not be gone for an entire week. I'll update again after we've talked. Thanks again for all the support, everyone. It really means a lot to me. Alright, so the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and that the husband is behaving like an a-hole, and they pretty much all agree that he shouldn't have been planning this trip in the first place so close after the birth of his child. Now, OP said she is willing to compromise about the amount of time, taking it down to 3 days. So how about we move on to the update to see what happened next and how the story ends. Hey everyone, I just wanted to share another update after having a very long and emotional talk with Jake. I won't get into every detail of our conversation, but I'll touch on the most important points. After putting Olivia to bed, I went straight to bed myself, feeling utterly exhausted. Jake was already asleep, but for some reason, the weight of everything just hit me all at once, and I started crying uncontrollably. My sobbing woke Jake up, and he immediately asked me what was wrong. I told him that I was just tired. But then I opened up about how anxious I'd been feeling about his trip and being left alone with Olivia. I admitted something I've been reluctant to say out loud, that Jake hasn't been as involved as I thought he would be. This was one of my biggest fears when we found out we were having a baby. For context, Jake has a rocky relationship with his own dad. I won't go into detail about why his dad isn't the best, but his mom, my mother-in-law, remarried when Jake was in middle school and his dad wasn't very present in his life. Jake has expressed to me before that becoming a father was scary for him because he's afraid of being a bad one, just like his dad. When he first told me that, I thought it would make him into a great father because it showed how much he cared about being a good dad long before we were even pregnant. When I vented to him about all of this, at first he tried to defend himself. He admitted that he's been freaking out about having a baby for so long and just didn't want to tell me. He said he didn't want to stress me out while I was pregnant because he knows how much I've always wanted to be a mother. Hearing him say that made me feel guilty, like I hadn't seen how much he's been struggling internally. I had tried to convince him that he was going to be a great dad when we had this conversation long ago, and now it all felt more complicated. I thought to myself, this can't go on much longer. I realized that if he was going to keep pulling away like this, I didn't know if I could handle it. So I asked him, is this what our life is going to look like from now on? Me with Olivia and you away? Because if it is, Jake, then I don't think I can continue on like this. Jake told me to calm down and assured me that he wasn't going anywhere. Then he got really emotional. He even started to tear up. He said he didn't want to turn into his dad and that he hadn't realized that going on his trip could be a preliminary step towards becoming the absentee father he feared he might be. He apologized for not considering me and Olivia as much as he should have. Long story short, Jake called his friends and told them he wouldn't be able to make the trip. He's even started planning a little family getaway for the three of us next year when Olivia's a bit older. It was a tough conversation, but I feel like we're on the same page now, and I'm hopeful that things will get better from here. Thanks again to everyone for your support and advice. It's been an emotional roller coaster, but I'm grateful for this community helping me navigate it. Willoughby, regardless of how the conversation started, you guys were able to talk and put everything on the table. In the end, Jake understood that he couldn't leave you, and you understood why he was so worried about everything. So it's a good thing that both of you, as you say, are now on the same page. And on that note, here's wishing you, Jake, and Olivia the best in the future. Thanks for sharing and take care. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user AppropriateEb5391. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my vegan friend to my barbecue party? So I, 28 male, recently threw a backyard barbecue party to celebrate my promotion at work. It was a casual event, just some close friends and family, grilling burgers and having a few drinks. One of my friends, Lily, 27 female, is vegan and has been for a few years. Now, I'm not opposed to veganism and I respect her choices, but I also know that she can be pretty vocal about it whenever she's around people eating meat. The thing is, every time we've had group events that involved food, Lily would always make comments like, "Do you know what that animal suffered?" Or, "I can't believe you're still eating meat in 2024. It kind of kills the vibe, but I usually just laugh it off. For this barbecue, I didn't invite her because I figured she'd feel uncomfortable, and honestly, I didn't want to deal with the inevitable comments about grilling meat. A couple of my friends found out that I didn't invite her, and now they're saying I was being rude and should have included her because it's just one meal and I could have had vegan options. Lily herself texted me asking why she wasn't invited. I tried to explain that I didn't want to make her feel out of place, but now she's upset and saying that I'm excluding her just because of her dietary choices. Am I the a-hole for not inviting her to avoid the drama, or should I have included her with some vegan options? Willoughby, I'm in between, not the a-hole and everybody sucks here. If she was just an acquaintance that you kinda knew, then I would definitely say not the a-hole. Your house, your party, you get to invite whoever you want. But you mentioned it was close friends and family. So you leaving her out even though she's a close friend of yours, that would make you an a-hole. Now where she is an a-hole is not because of her dietary choices, because whatever, right? It's her life, she gets to choose whatever she wants to eat. It's the soapbox or virtue signaling that annoys people. And I know that not everybody does it, and it's not a thing that you constantly hear. However, it is annoying. So if I would have been in your shoes, I would have told Lily, "Hey, I'm gonna have a barbecue, I'm inviting friends and family, I would like you to come, and I will have vegan options for you to eat, but please don't bother anybody or tell him about how much a cow suffered to make their burger." If she says she can't and she just needs to make a point, then you tell her, "Well, then I'm sorry, but I can't invite you." If she agrees to the terms, then the doors are open. And OP, if she's really a close friend, you maybe should have said something sooner and not just brushed it off as a joke. So again, in between not the a-hole and everybody sucks here for me. And what is your judgment? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Robin Noodle says if you had excluded her simply for being vegan, you would be the a-hole. But what I'm gathering is that you excluded her due to her making awkward comments and always guilting everyone for eating meat and being a downer. Trying to avoid that makes you not the a-hole. However, not being forthcoming with your reasoning is causing everyone in your friend group to label you the a-hole, as they think you did it just so you didn't have to include vegan options. I would have been honest from jump, but you do have the option to be honest now. It might still make people think you're an a-hole, but at least all the cards would be on the table. No one would think you just didn't want to bother with vegan options. The issue is Lily harshing the mood, and I think I would come clean about that. Toots NYC says, not the a-hole, and maybe don't lie. People deserve feedback, it's how they learn. So call her back and say, here's the real reason I didn't invite you. Every time you are at an event where people are eating meat, you can't shut up and mind your own business. You make comments to people and it kills the vibe. I don't want that at my meat-centered barbecue. It's rude. I don't want you to be rude to my guests, and I don't want you to be rude to me. So you're not invited. Later, if you can break yourself of the habit of commenting on other people's meat, maybe I'll invite you some other time, but not this time. And Communication Glad 299 says, it wasn't her food choices that kept her from being invited. It is her comments to the meat eaters that are the problem. You need to tell her and anyone else who comments that you are tired of Lily making other guests uncomfortable with her comments. She knows people are going to be eating meat. She chooses to attend and she chooses to try and food shame everyone. It is her own fault and her own mouth that kept her off the invite list. Alright, so the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, but they also tell him that he should talk to Lily and tell her the real reason why she wasn't invited, and it wasn't because of her dietary choices. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Wow, I didn't get this post to get so much attention. Thanks for all the feedback. A lot has happened since I posted, so here's an update. After reading the responses, I realized I might have handled things poorly. I reached out to Lily to have a real conversation instead of just texting back and forth. I invited her out for coffee to clean the air, and she agreed. During our conversation, I explained that I didn't exclude her because she's vegan, but because I didn't want her to feel uncomfortable or have to listen to a bunch of meat-related conversations at a barbecue. She admitted that she sometimes goes overboard with her comments about people eating meat, but she also said she felt hurt because she thought we were close enough that she'd always be included in events, no matter the situation. She then told me that while she does have strong opinions, she's been trying to dial it back lately and just wishes I'd trusted her to handle herself better. We both apologized and I promised to include her in future events, but also said that I'd appreciate it if she could be mindful of how she talks to others about their eating habits. She totally understood. In a twist, she even offered to bring her own vegan dishes next time and shows us how good vegan barbecue can be. Some of my friends who found out about the situation thought it was a cool idea, and now we're planning another barbecue with a mix of regular and vegan options so everyone can enjoy. Lily's excited to show us some of her favorite recipes. Well, OP, in my opinion, it sounds like a good enough resolution. The only thing I'd be keeping an eye on is Lily's reaction to anybody saying, you know what, these are nice vegan options, but I'd rather stick with meat. If that happens, hopefully she doesn't take it personal. So now, let's finish this video with a quick mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Warcraft Fan. You want a large pizza with everything? Okay, you got it. Sweet story from my brother. Yesterday, a pizza place my brother worked for got a call for a pizza with everything. Did you mean deluxe pizza? I want everything. You have it? I want it on mine. This pizza place was one of the nice ones that carry less common topics. So he prepared a pizza with pineapple and almond, normally for Hawaiian pizza. Lettuce and tomato, pepperoni, hamburger, sausage, ham, shredded roast beef, shredded turkey, banana pepper, jalapeno pepper, regular pizza cheese mix, cheddar cheese, Swiss cheese, and the coup de grace anchovies. My brother said it was the most expensive single pizza he's had to make with $2 per extra topping. Almost $50, including tax, pizza that is extra spicy, extra salty, and so thick and messy it'd have to be eaten with a fork and scissors to deal with cheese. Customer never called back about that pizza. Well, I don't know if he was having the munchies or not, but he wanted every single topping on it. That's what he got. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.